What's happening, everybody? Trey here, and today reactions to the classics. It's time for a full album reaction to Belle and Sebastian's second record, If You're Feeling Sinister. I want to shout out our patron and supporter friend of the channel, Iain, for suggesting this record for me to react to today. I'm really looking forward to it, Iain. I know you're a big Belle and Sebastian fan, and so I've heard a couple of their tracks just on live streams that we've done, but I can't say, I'm like some huge fan or anything. But I'm, today's better day than any, right? Let's dive into this, man. Iain had a great write-up saying that this was the first album I bought of theirs and remains my favorite. It is their second record and was spectacularly unsuccessful, though later gained sales as the band grew. It eventually went gold in the UK. Their next album gets a mention in the ultimate record collecting geek film High Fidelity. Awesome film if you haven't seen it. It says, I find it quite hilarious as Jack Black describes their song Seymour Stein as "It sucks ass." Always makes me smile. I love Belle and Sebastian because they still produce great albums every time. There's always more than just one or two good songs on each album, and they work as a whole, generally telling a story. Storytelling actually being the name of their fifth and, in Iain's opinion, worst album. They also put a lot of effort into EP, singles, and film projects. You instantly know it's a Belle and Sebastian song despite their having quite a broad range of music. There is very much in their acoustic folky style. I love the multiple layers to many of their songs. I personally feel there isn't a duff song on this album. It doesn't have the highs of the fourth record, Fold Your Hands, nor the experimentation of their next album, Boy with the Arab Strap, but is the most consistent, according to Iain. It tells some wonderful stories. Iain said he saw them perform the whole record on the 20th anniversary gig at the Royal Albert Hall, a sellout with thousands of people. I can only imagine, Iain, how cool that must have been in that atmosphere. Stuart Murdoch is one of the great creatives of the last 30 years. He continues to inspire, experiment, and develop while staying true to the nature of Belle and Sebastian. Highlights on the album for me are Get Me Away From Here, I'm Dying, the first song I learned to play on the guitar. Oh, that's pretty cool. And The Fox in the Snow, which is an emotional masterpiece. Hope you enjoy it. Well, with that write-up, I'm looking forward to it for sure, Iain. And just a little bit about the band, if you don't know, like I did, before going into this. They're a Scottish indie pop band formed in 1994 in Glasgow, led by Stuart Murdoch. The band has released 10 records. Stuart, while at the university at the end of the 1980s, became ill with chronic fatigue syndrome and was unable to work for 7 years. He said that the isolation of these years is what led to his becoming a songwriter. Quote, that was a big desert at the time, a kind of vacuum in my life. From that, these songs started coming out, these melodies where I could express what I was feeling. By early 95, Murdoch had largely recovered from his illness and began to look for fellow musicians to form a band, which became Belle and Sebastian. Murdoch's struggle with chronic fatigue syndrome is also the subject of the track Nobody's Empire on their record Girls in Peacetime Want to Dance. That just kind of struck home with me, just since I deal with chronic pain and fatigue, and from that isolation, man, you can kind of get those creative juices flowing at times. So I'm looking forward to see how he maybe deals with some of the physical issues in the music. As I noted, this is their second album released. It was actually in the newest Rolling Stones top 500 albums of all time. It came in there. Pitchfork also had it very high up in their list, and the album cover is a bit Smiths-esque. Kind of reminds me of, The Queen is Dead. We have a quietly contemplative girl who was also a friend of Stewart's who suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, and a copy of Kafka's The Trial by her side. Murdoch stated that the album is probably his best collection of songs. After the release of their debut, Tiger Milk, Belle and Sebastian were approached by a number of record labels. They signed with the independent label Jeepster Records. Never heard of it, but I love the name. In the interest of staying independent creatively, Jeepster was willing to accept some of the group's other demands, such as releasing no singles, not doing press or promo events, and not appearing in promo material. So all these are going to be written by Stuart, and let's just get going, man. If you like the video, before we get started, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That helps us out here, and hit that big red subscribe button if you like what you see. Due to copyright, not going to have the music included here on YouTube, but there will be a link down below where you can check out the full video with all the music. So if you already know all this and just want to see my reaction and thought, you can just hang out here. But if you want to listen, check out that link. All that to say, man, I'm ready. Let's get diving into this. It's only 10 tracks, about 41 minutes or so. So it looks like it'll be a good pace. We have the stars of track and field starting it out. Stewart found out when he was a teenager that he suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome. He stated in the documentary about the album that he always loved running, but that had been taken away from him. Quote, these songs are about desire, but also about the desire of being the person portrayed in the songs. Well, as always, I'm going to have the lyrics pulled up. Thank you again to Iain. Let's get it. All right, y'all. The Stars of Track and Field opening us off. I think it's the second longest song on the record, and man, it made the most use of its time for sure. I mean, as I had mentioned, I had heard a couple Belle and Sebastian tunes before, but it just struck. Stewart has quite the unique voice. It stands as something that you're gonna recognize kind of in the future, just because it doesn't seem to be kind of that run-of-the-mill voice that just goes in with the crowd type of thing. It's like, okay, I want to hear what this guy has to say, even if, maybe he doesn't have the best technical voice in the world. I like the way he was able to convey those emotions that he was having in there. And the chorus especially was the highlight, almost brimming underneath the stars of track and field you are, and then it just kind of releases with the stars of track and field are beautiful people. Had some organ work in there. Trumpet at the end I thought was really tight. And just as somebody who, kind of also deals with some chronic pain and fatigue, that sense almost where you're looking at admiring these people that are, in this case, track and field athletes, and being able to go use their bodies and just kind of imagine, especially if you once were able to do something and now you can't, kind of imagine that. And that's kind of the vibe I was getting there a little bit as well, and kind of played it on the head too with this girl who was really talented. She had the move, she had the speed, and went to her head. She never needed anyone to get around the track, but when she's on her back, she had the knowledge to get her into college. So again, kind of reading that in a sexual kind of lens, you could say, just that difference in there. She'd like to go and have some fun too with with maybe her success or whatever the case may be, or use that to kind of stair step her into a better college or situation. It's kind of left up to our interpretation, which is what I enjoyed. So, man, really, really strong song here to start us off. And let's see what we got next. We have Seeing Other People coming in at track number 2. The narrator here is involved in a sexual relation with another boy who's closeted and still living in denial. He's not dealing with the situation very well and is a bit an egoist. The narrator wishes he would come out because he wants a real relationship with his lover, and he's tired of being passive, so he tells him that it's better for him to start seeing girls. Stewart once called himself straight to the point and boring myself, so he's in character here, as he does with a lot of his music, so they say. So, that's just setting the scene here. Seems like it's going to be another really unique track. All right, Seeing Other People with really just laying out what I was describing at the start. These two kids that are, kind of experimenting rather with their sexuality, having the same sex attraction and dealing with that, and just all the kind of emotional and relational turmoil that can bring, and I just really enjoyed the way that Stewart was able to kind of build this story up as we got along. You really kind of felt that turmoil that these characters had, even if maybe you yourself haven't been in their position. And I think that's a very difficult thing to do, but when a songwriter is able to do that, man, it's that's how your music can live on, I think, through the years and the generations. And so another really tight story, and as the one verse that stuck out was our second one here after our first chorus, talking about kissing the elbow, kissing the reflection. You can't understand why all the other boys are going for the new, tall, elegant, rich kid. You can bet it is a bitch kid. But if they don't see the quality, then it is apparent that you're going to have to change, or you're going to have to go with girls. So again, changing who you are, go with just what's normal. You'd be better off, at least they'd know where to put it. And then just ending that, we're seeing other people. At least that's what we say we are doing. Those complexities, man, don't have to be whenever you've been married for 50 years or whatever. Those complexities can come through in a unique way. I think as a teenager, adolescent here, whatever the case may be. So another unique story that with just a gorgeous piano melody right there. And now we're gonna go to Me and the Major. Showing a little different instrumentally here, just in these first three tracks. The first couple were more kind of in that lighter indie, those folk elements were definitely there. Here we were a bit more up tempo and more indie rock like, and then just added in that harmonica to give a little extra boost there at the end for good measure. I thought that was a cool touch, and that concept of that generational gap was quite apparent with him in the Major, but he became close friends with this guy because they got on the same train, and they just sparked conversation, talking to each other. But there's too much history, too much biography between us, just in a certain sense. The person from the older generation you can only relate to maybe to a certain degree because you don't know what it was like growing up decades ago, and conversely that older person isn't going to be able to connect with the younger generation, knowing what it's like to grow up and develop in this certain decade or year in history. So I thought Stewart laid that foundation quite well, and he even notes he doesn't understand and he doesn't try. He knows there's something missing, and he knows it's you and I. We're the younger generation. We grew up fast. All the others did drugs. So there, I don't know if he's talking about all the other younger generation or all the other generations that came before them and they did drugs and now they're taking it out on us. I kind of go with that latter, that he's talking about these other generations in total kind of taking it out on the younger generation. But who knows? I'd be curious y'all's thoughts on that as well. And then he then kind of reminisces about the punks and the hippies. Roxy Music gets a shout out from back in '72. So again, just kind of putting and painting what the Major's gone through, and then our guy at the end, he goes out, kind of gets drunk to forget about the Major, and then the snow was falling, just really catchy in that way, even amidst a quite kind of serious and thought-provoking track. So really tight there as well, man. We're 3 for 3 thus far, and now I'm going to go to Like Dylan in the Movies. Again, it says it kind of picks up some of those themes from Stewart's chronic fatigue syndrome and relates to some fantasies involving characters he made up in his time alone. Here we see Stewart describing a girl or a boy walking home alone through the park, the fears of being followed, and the eventual peace of solitude, feeling that Stewart had grown used to during his time spent alone in bed. Wow, Like Dylan in the Movies. It was too good a song, man, for me to wait till the very end to add add it to the liked songs here, man. What a gorgeous tune, instrumentally in the middle section where we got the strings going, mixing almost with almost like a chamber pop and folk blend, and it just was gorgeous on the ears. And Stewart had a very kind of light vocal performance, if that makes sense, just kind of just seamlessly just saying the words, going right to your head, man. And it was just a lovely tune, which is a bit, again, ironic in the sense of what we're talking about here, a person coming home from the park and don't look back. Like Dylan in the Movies, there is a documentary from 1967, Don't Look Back, about Dylan. It's on my watch list. I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately, but maybe Belle and Sebastian will give me that push to hit it up here in a couple weeks. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it, man. I've heard it's really good, but that play on word was pretty cool. Anytime we shout out the great Robert Zimmerman in a song, I will tip my cap in that regard, man. But he notes, man, you're on your own. If they follow you, it's not your money that they're after. Boy, it's you. So that's a little intimidating, right there on the surface. He's saying, yeah, you're worth the trouble and you're worth the pain. You're worth the worry. I would do the same. But he says, if we all went back to another time, I will love you over. I will love you over. I will love you. And Stewart really putting his heart on the sleeve there on that vocal delivery. Great track. That'll probably be amongst my favorites as we get to the end there. And now I know we're gonna go to one of Ian's favorites here. We have the Fox in the Snow. The Fox in the Snow, bringing us halfway home here, hitting that hard. Have to, man. Ian, you said it best, man. Emotional masterpiece right here, and just that imagery. Obviously, the snow, and kind of brings up that bareness, that maybe even that bleakness, but also conversely, you can say, hey, you can start new in the snow type of thing, and then putting the fox in there as well. It's kind of a strong images conjuring up in the mind as the song goes through, introducing the girl in there. A girl in the snow, where do you go to find someone who will do, to tell someone all the truth before it kills you? And then we go in, kind of then throw a bunch of different themes in here. The one that really stuck out was that sense of that childhood innocence, I guess to say, and how that's worn down the older you get, and as you enter into adulthood and have bills and this and that and got to provide, and he notes boy on the bike, what do you like as you cycle around town? He says it's not as if they're paying you, it's not as if it's fun, at least not anymore. When your legs are black and blue, it's time to take a break. And then we kind of get some hope at the end. Kid in the Snow, way to go. It only happens once a year. Here around Texas, man, we just had a huge snowstorm, but normally we're lucky if we get snow even once a year. But it only happens once a lifetime. Make the most of it. Second just to being born, second to dying too. What else would you do? Again, just kind of that sense, okay, this guy has found the snow that only happens once a year, but he's also found something else in his life. Is it love? Whatever the case may be, you got to make the most of it whenever life gives you this opportunity, man. Gives you this opportunity for something. And then the backing vocals coming in at the end gave yet again another emotional punch and touch there. So really solid song. And now we're going to another one of Ian's favorites, the first song he learned on guitar, man. We got Get Me Away From Here. I'm Dying. One of my favorite bands is a post-hardcore group out of California called Touche Amore. Met their lead singer Jeremy Boehm a couple times, and he has a tattoo of this saying on his arm, man. So now I'll be able to get where he's coming from as well. Belle and Sebastian just keeping the hits coming, man. Get Me Away From Here. I'm Dying. And again, had that almost whimsical, upbeat and melody, and I can see why Ian was gravitated to learn this on guitar, man. Because man, that thing does kind of, it just gets burrowed into your ear as they go with it. Stuart O'More, kind of a happy vocal delivery in a sense, and then you had that trumpet again coming in at the end to bolster it up a little bit. Ironically, as we get the Get Me Away, I'm Dying, I quite enjoy that dichotomy of and we talked on the Smiths earlier. The Smiths kind of remind me of that too. Got that jangliness of Johnny Marr's guitar with a lot of times the bleakness of Morrissey's lyrics, and it's not to that extent here per se, but you can see a little bit of similarities in that regard, man. And the way that at the start I thought was kind of cool, talking a bit sarcastically, I think about themselves. Think of it this way: you could either be successful or you could be us, with our winning smiles and our catchy tunes and words, saying that they're photogenic. And then he kind of goes into this story about a boy who's just like me, thought there was love in everything and everyone. You're so naive. They always reach a sorry ending. They always get it in the end. And then he just kind of starts to characterize this boy here, and then noting, kind of quoting, they talking about the windows of his lovers, saying they never know unless I write. Quote, this is no declaration, I just thought I'd let you know goodbye. Said the hero in the story, it is mightier than swords. I could kill you, sure, but I could only make you cry with these words. So kind of flips it, the whole, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words won't hurt me. Well, whenever you got this guy coming in, he's going to hurt you with the words here. Just a lovely tune that I think and this kind of goes with a lot of the songs on here. I think first listen, there's so much kind of to take in, and symbols and just imagery going in. You can only take so much from that first listen, but this is one record that I think is going to reward further listens. And now we're going to the title track, If You're Feeling Sinister. Longest song on the record at 5:19. Wow, title track, longest track, and man, it made the most use of its time. If You're Feeling Sinister, just starting, well, we'll just jump right into it, man. We were introduced to Anthony walking to his death because he thought he'd never feel this way again. This comes after that minute-long instrumental, and you have like the kids playing almost in the background. It, again, gave that sense of nostalgia, and at least, and this is quite the record for me to listen to at this point in my life, man. I'm really enjoying this record, and you chose well as an aside. But anyway, going in, man, he notes that this Anthony guy walked to his death because he thought he'd never feel this way again. Later on, he says he wants to remember things exactly as he left them on that funny day, and if there was something else beyond, he isn't scared because it's bound to be less boring than today, bound to be less boring than tomorrow. Oh, okay. So that sense of what's out there, what's after life. Well, his Anthony wasn't enjoying his life and what would be ahead in the future. And then we get introduced to Hillary, who then takes the rest of the song, saying Hillary went to her death because she couldn't think of anything to say. Everybody thought she was boring, but then we have a wonderful line. She was into S&M and Bible studies. Not everyone's cup of tea, she would admit to me. So kind of the two sides of the, crazy sexuality with the Bible studies, mixing and mashing. I thought that was a wonderful lyric right there. And then she goes to the church, talks to the priest there, you have St. Teresa calling her. It's looking lovely, but it didn't interest. The only thing she wants to know is how and why and when and where to go. How and why and when and where to follow. I thought that was a great line and speaks to, living here in the States in the Bible Belt, man, so many churches dress themselves up as being, having the latest this and the gadgets and looking nice, this or that, where at the end of the day, from my experience, man, people don't care about that. They just want some help, man. They want some answers, some direction. So I thought Stewart did a fine job of putting that idea out there. And then we kind of get the first chorus where, boom, it just stripped everything away. But if you're feeling sinister, go up and see a minister. He'll try in vain to take away the pain of being a hopeless unbeliever. So we, figure out that, Hillary doesn't have that faith. Maybe she wants that faith. Obviously she's stepping up to the church and whatnot. She's at least seeking out there, but she's not finding those answers, man. And so that throws her into a bit of a confusion. And then he ends it in a very clever way, still, that if you're feeling sinister, go off and see a minister. The chances are you'll probably feel better if you stayed and played with yourself and went into those, just human tendencies, man. Human tendencies. So I thought this was a lovely track, man, worthy of being the title track. And again, just has that light nature to it and that sense of sadness, nostalgia, all wrapped into one. So now we are going to Mayfly. All right, Mayfly bringing it in here with the organ kind of book ending the track, which was a bit unique and again had a bit more of that peppy, up-tempo nature to it here. Lyrically, we are introduced to Mayfly, and I'm still a bit confused 100% who this might be. And so you were waiting for a sign. Mayfly, woken up when skies are clear. I don't mind you coming near. Keep me company till she comes again. So, maybe I'm kind of interpreting, and I could be way off on this, man. This is a genuine first reaction. So this person, maybe Mayfly, helping and keeping him company till he's waiting for his actual lover to come over again. You're the one who's making do. I am the one who's privy to, because you saw him in the park, because you saw him at the bridges with the people in the dark. So then, we kind of switch from the she to the him. So that was a bit interesting as well. So yeah, man, and he just kind of builds on that story as we go through. You saw him at the celebration, standing at the side. You had the moves to save the day, and you would love him anyway. So maybe now we're introduced maybe to Mayfly's possible love interest. I'm probably 100% off on all of this here, man. That's why I need you, Belle and Sebastian super fans. This is the first song that's kind of on first listen, like stumped me, just with how kind of poetic in a way it is and the different characters. So please let me know your interpretation, y'all, down below for sure. But then he notes her diaries looking like the Bible with its verses lost in time. That was a cool metaphor. Lost in meaning for the people who's around. It's a crying shame, it's a crying shame. And so, yeah, man, I apologize for not having a lot to add there. But from my interpretation, that's just kind of what I was feeling, man. All in all, man, a solid tune. Not going to be in that upper tier for me, but still good. And now we're going to go to The Boy Done Wrong again. Well, we get one of our saddest tracks coming here. Our penultimate track, The Boy Done Wrong again. And just starting off, man, we start with that line, hang your head in shame and cry your life away. Hang your head in shame, cry your life away. Are you okay now? And then we again set the scene with the Saturday. I was an angel shining fair. And then he knows, you put my shine to shame. Put me to shame now. What is it I must do to pay for all my crimes? So you get that sense of repentance and this guy who just wants to kind of atone for the wrongs that he's doing. He's not happy that he's in this situation. He notes, I would do it all the time now. And then we kind of get to the crux of the song. All that I wanted was to sing the saddest song. And if you would sing along, I would be happy now. And amidst this, we have the... I believe the cello kind of going in the background or whatever the case may be, kind of adding to that sense of melancholy that Belle and Sebastian wanted to do here. And yeah, man, I was impressed with this one. Kind of gotcha in those feelings, man. Gotcha in those darker, sadder emotions, man. But set to a gorgeous tune like this, I'll take that every day of the week. And now we're to the end, y'all. Quick moving record. We have Judy and the Dream of Horses. So let's listen to this one, and afterwards I'll get my favorite track and overall score of If You're Feeling Sinister. It had a bit of that interplay with The Boy Done Wrong again, because it says here Judy wrote the saddest song. It showed it to the boy at school today. She notes she was a teenage rebel. She did it with a boy when she was young. Again, we've had a couple songs like this that kind of have that sexual angst, I guess you could say, kind of brimming underneath. And this song was no exception. She notes how dedicated Judy was to being the best. And then we have Judy, I don't know you if you're going to show me everything. So then, kind of get a little bit of that sexual tension coming up in there. And then we figure out Judy never felt so good except when she was sleeping. Again, that makes me think of she didn't want to be up, man. She was depressed maybe about her life, this or that. And he notes then in the chorus, Judy, let's go for a walk. We can kiss and do whatever you want, but you will be disappointed. You will fall asleep with the ants in your pants. This guy can't satisfy her. And Judy, you're just trying to find and keep the dream of horses. Again, going back to that sleep motif there. The best looking boys are taken. The best looking girls are staying inside. That was a cool couplet right there as well. And it was a bit meta at the end, saying if you're ever feeling blue, then write another song about your dream of horses. Write a song about your dream of horses. Call it Judy and the Dream of Horses, which obviously is what this song was called here, man. Cool instance of the trumpet coming in again, and just again kind of had that more indie pop type of vibe to it, man. So I dug this one. Cool closer right here. And now we'll go to my favorite tracks on this record. What a solid album from start to finish, man. Concise, 10 tracks. My favorites are going to have to be in no particular order. I'll give a few here. We'll go Like Dylan in the Movies. I'm going to go The Fox and the Snow. Let's go If You're Feeling Sinister. I thought that was quite the powerful tune, and just the way that was blending in that childhood nostalgia with just the religious imagery. And then the opener, The Stars of Track and Field, that chorus was unbelievable, and maybe stood as the best even after all this stuff that we went through, man. The Boy Done Wrong again was fantastic as well. All in all, man, enjoyable record. Brings us to the overall score now of the album. Like I said, man, I was impressed from start to finish. 10 tracks. It was a quick record, and I think on this, even if you don't like all aspects of this album, it'd be hard for me to believe somebody couldn't find at least something they enjoyed, whether it would be the lyricism that Stewart wrote or the instrumentals, and just the music itself, the melodies in here, a lot of catchy melodies, and way to go with the strings, the organ, the trumpet, that indie guitar that Stewart was playing, man. The bass lines were also pretty notable on a few of these tracks as well. So I was impressed with it, man. So all in all, after first listen, I'm going a strong 8.0 out of 10 for me. This is definitely one I'll look to revisit in the coming months. And I got to shout out Iain again for bringing it to the channel. I quite enjoyed this one, Iain. You're setting a nice high bar here, so I'm looking forward to what you're going to bring in the coming months, man. Let me know what you think of this record down below, your favorite song from this album, and just your favorite Belle and Sebastian albums and songs in general, man. And until next time, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Happy listening, and I'll see you next time.